Hello, Ryan from Johnny5 Nottingham. I recently put a poll on a few pages to see what you'd like to see next, and the most requested thing was to have an update to see how far I've got with my Johnny5 so far and what I've done. So yeah, I thought I'd show you. Okay, so that's him. Stands quite a bit taller than me. I'm not the tallest of chaps. Okay, where to start? Right, obviously, it's got his woolen sacks, 209s. Got them machined by Mr. Dave Hall. If you haven't used him, I highly recommend. I think he's probably one of the best. I don't know anyone else that does them. Cracking chap. He's helped me loads. Right, the eyes are fully articulated. Using the XY table ball system, so it uses two servos on a rack and pinion to go up and down, left and right. It's also got a little servo in the centre. This has all been designed by Simon. I believe he was in the Input Ink team and then went off his own, and he's been very kind, and he said, you know, that I was okay to use it, and to which I'm very grateful. I actually had a rack and pinion, a linkage system for mine, which I got a lot more movement art up and down, but his was just far better, so I decided to use his. Sometimes you spend a lot of time on things and they're not as good as someone else's, so use theirs. It's, you know, credit where credit's due. So yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see inside. It's got a Easy B. Give me a second, I'll try and pop the top off. If I give you guys a bit of a better view. It's hard to do with one hand. There we go. Right, so it's controlled by a Easy Robot, Easy B 4, I believe. Amazing bit of kit. Pretty good at, well, programming, but in the sense of it's nothing very specialised, using linear lasers for my robots, not so much the reverse kinesthetics that the EZB does, so you can get them to do things and whatnot. You'll have to bear with me, by the way, I've got hay fever, and so if I start sneezing and sputtering, you know why. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. I had fun and games at the very start because most servos run on 6 volt and the EZB runs on up to 12, so I've had to put a step down converter and then put a bus positive and negative in there so that they can feed, and then the PWM is taken off of the EZB. I've had a bit of a problem as well because the lip lights that I've decided to use, again inspired, again, that seems like I haven't designed any of it. I mean, I've done my fair share, but so what's the saying? Stand on the shoulder of giants. Peter, I'm sorry, I couldn't even pronounce his second name. He's from Sweden, and he helped me a lot. He found a quite small lip light UV system, just two individual, and then you put them in sequence. You just take your positive off the board and the rest of all the negatives coming off of the microprocessor. I can show you that now actually. It's in bits. I've had to rip it out. It was nestled quite happily inside the back of here, but me like a prat, I didn't put a plug on it, so every time I have to take this off the back, it pulls on all the wires. So I've unglued it all out and took it all out. Again, I didn't put a lot of forethought into it, but I didn't realise I was going to get this far. I thought it was going to be a model to start with. So I've designed this little box where it's all going to sit inside, all the electronics, all mount. So this is the rat's nest. I'll pop it on here so you can see have a better look. It's got speaker, amp as well, and obviously you feed through. They've got 2 boards. I've broken it while taking it off. I'd have to resolder that back on, and then 12 volt system as well. Standard 3.5mm jack, I believe it is. So it's pretty easy stuff, to be fair, but I wouldn't have been able to find anything to sort of be a reasonable size and have all the levels for sequencing to make the lights look fairly realistic. One thing I did have to change on it was, and this something that I had to seek help about, the lip lights, the actual diodes, because of fundamentally how they're made up. They require a different resistance to output the same intensity of light, so the greens end up being quite a bit dimmer than the oranges and reds. So I just popped some extra resistors in there, and it seemed to work great. Happy days. Right, so again, I've not long had him reassembled. I've not long had him reassembled. I had him in the garage a couple of days ago, and I was hoping to get the net drive system back up in. Well, I say back in working. I ordered the wrong chain like a prat. It was far too big because I've gone from imperial to metric. So it's all ready to go, but there's just far too much. There's far too much slop in the actual movements of the neck rod when it's attached to the sprocket. So it's a backlash would be the proper thing you call it, I suppose. But it's just not right, and I made a bit of a mess of it. You know how it is. Sometimes you try your best, and it's one of them things, isn't it? I'm thinking about maybe replacing it. What I did is I ground flats into it, and then tried to sort of clamp it with bolts, and it worked out to start with. And then I put the weight behind it, and there's no substitute for a Woodruff key, I suppose, but you've got to try these things. To be fair, I'm going to try one more thing before. I mean, you can see I made a mess of it. I mean, you know, vacant bolt hole there where crossed. Again, Fred in the shed stuff, isn't it? You gotta try these things. You never know. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I might try putting just a pin through it, or a smaller bolt. You know, M3 maybe through the M8. I think that'll probably work. Again, I was trying to make this simple, and no, it didn't work. Never mind. Right, the linear actuator for the I actually bought them both from the same place in China. You can have a look at the serial if you want to use the same. It's supposed to be 24 volt. Again, this was all supposed to be up and working and controlled by either the EZB or I've actually bought a pretty decent radio controller there, which does work. I've had that up and running and testing everything. And I bought one of these for a speedboat. I believe it's for a speedboat, and all the specs seem to fall within the category of what I needed. 48 volt, and the amperage was well below what it would consume maximum, but it was wrongly listed. I didn't get the spec sheet. I just took it by space value. It was only £13, I think. So I thought, for two, give it a go. But it's got over voltage protection, and I'm only testing it on 12 volts, and it wouldn't even accept that. It keeps on coming up with an over voltage error, but the actual listing says it goes 12 volts plus. So I don't know. I've tried contacting the seller and they've not got back, but never mind. You know, it's not that much. I think I'll probably get something like a Pololu or something like that. Some decent stuff that they seem to do. It's mainly 24 volts that I want. I was quite happy with 12, but since I've done that, I might as well go for the full works. I used in fact I used the same, just a longer rod for the lower torso, but it's considerably shorter at the back end, so I've just spaced it out, made it nice and solid and whatnot. I machined the mounts, which was a nightmare. I don't even know if you can get these, but I thought I'll have a go. So yeah, that's for me. Fuse board and everything, probably mounted to the side though. I've been considering giving a try to mounting rather than on the rear the neck master cylinders to the side of the plates, these upper torso plates, and just seeing if I can get anything that fit. Maybe a linear actuator with a potentiometer from for a DC motor controller or something. I don't know, just, you know, it leaves a lot of room to maybe mount the I've seen that they're using a NUC, NUC, NUC. I think it'd be quite good just to have on the back here, instead of hiding away with the tool arm, in case, you know, anyone ever figures out how to get that up and running properly and swinging round. And I know that the original was a basically a puppet, as a lot of the stuff was. So I'd like to keep it free. A couple other little things. Again, a lot of this I converted from imperial to metric and made some adjustments. Like I just used threaded bar for this. So I don't think it matters too much. Again, just a lot of things. Just using metric, it doesn't really matter too much. I shouldn't imagine. I haven't had things foul or break, or I really don't think it matters. I was told by Dave Stapley. I think he had a bit of a problem with his, maybe it cracked or something, but to go with steel for the actual the hinge part of this. So I made that all out of steel by hand. I get that the shoulder tubes and everything. I made the shoulder tubes by hand. I oversized the stencil so that the outer diameter of the actual shoulder tube equaled the inner diameter of the stencil. Cut it up, 3D printed it, wrapped it all around and everything, and basically just sketched it all out on there, and kept on comparing, and I was really happy with how that turned out. A couple of little nicks and stuff, but you know, little nicks and scratches, but just fill them in, body filler. So yeah, one of the arms, it was one of the first things I ever made, the right arm. It was mainly to test colours and things, but it's just been a good arm, model arm, so I've just left that on just so it looks a little bit more like Johnny Five if everyone comes around and they can have a look. So it's, at least it's got arm. The other one I did as a sort of a working prototype. I actually took it apart, one of the fingers. I took one of the fingers apart to show Mr. Stapley. He asked a few questions about it, and I couldn't get the bloody thing back together. The wire that I used, it's some discarded forklift measuring wire. It goes quite a height, but it's like a Bowden measuring encoder system. I used that because it's really strong. I can't believe some of the crashes and bangs that thing goes through, and it survives. But yeah, I used that, and I just couldn't get it back together. I couldn't get it the wire back down the tube, and I gave up one day and moved on to other things that I probably should return to at some point. Well, what next? Cradle base and everything. I say done in skeleton form. I'm currently working on the rear caster and A-frame. I've got the side plates. I machined them today in the garage. I'm still going to do the top and bottom plates, and then bend them. I think I'll go for the bend as opposed to using angle iron. What else I've got to show you? I use the original Rexnord tabletop conveyor link. I managed to get it because you can get them in different colours. I managed to get them both the same, and I asked them to check on eBay. I said, can you please check that these two boxes of the same, is it D821 or something like that, 7.5? I asked them to check to make sure they were the same colour, and they came the same colour, and happy days. I only used it to control it, Sabertooth, 60 amp. I think it's overkill, but can't do any harm. I'd rather be overkill as opposed to burst into flames or whatever. Or stall in a hill or something, look stupid. Gone with the, 1 second, Bainbots, motor, gearbox and everything. Says that you need to grease it. It annoyed me a little bit. I spent a lot of money to get it over here, and they can't even include some, you know, some grease. I can understand maybe not shipping with it, but give us a little sachet of grease. It costs pence. All the motors and everything. I'm sorry, I apologise. Everything's a mess. I'm not very good at this sort of thing, and I'm just rushing around trying to show you what I've got. There's a laser, full size. I actually got that from Sergey's model. I don't think we had a complete model when I printed that, so I just took his and upscaled that. It's supposed to be a third, I think, but I worked it out at 2.81 or something, using various other bits and measurements. So yeah, that's ready to go. I haven't assembled it completely because I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to put inside it. Maybe if something needs hiding in there, extra space. So I've left it as it is at the moment. I haven't stuck it all together, and maybe I could put some electronics in there. I don't know. What else? Face guard. Oh, I'll show this because I'm quite proud of this. I actually CAD'd a face guard before it was made available, and one was just done using eye, just doing it all by eye, and the other one was done properly CAD'd by Mr. Andrew Friesberg, and I'm quite chuffed with this because I think I was pretty damn close. Oops. Can't get the light on, but I'd say, oops, hold it. And two, pretty much near as damn it. So much so I can't remember which one's which. So happy with that. I recently also CAD'd up the lithium argon battery, and for the life of me I can't remember where I've put it. CAD'd it up on my computer, and it fitted and everything. I made sure it was correct in size. Here's me looking for it now. I should be paying attention to you lot. So yeah, that's a bit of a where I am. I mean, I've got lots of things that I'm currently working on, trying to do some designing and bits and bobs. I've probably missed a lot out, to be honest, but I lose interest with one thing and move on to the next, and then come back and I'll tell you one thing that's I say annoyed me, it's my own fault, is I was doing the track drives, the front bearings, and I did 4, and it took me forever. I don't know why. I was on my lathe, it took me forever, and I was like, oh, thank God they're done. And then I realised you need 8, and I've just never got round to doing the rest of them. They're all just sat there, and I'm just like, oh, I just can't be bothered to rather work on something I want to work on. I want to get on with wiring and things, I enjoy them. But yeah. Oh, that's one thing. I also did the tiptoe tube. Again, the 3D printer bone spaces and everything for it. But I also did the tiptoe tube in metric because the bearings was just so expensive. And irony, as it would seem, the cheapest I could get the metric bearings was from California in America. So I think, and it cost me, how much it cost me? £68. I think that's with customs and everything for 4 of them, as opposed to however much the Imperials were. I saw the price and very quickly forgot about it when I realised there might be another way to do it. Anything else? Oh, for the neck servo, I've just used a winch servo. I think it's a high tech something winch servo, but I've been really impressed with it so far, and I know that the intention was to use something. I mean, I prefer simplicity, less to go wrong, especially when you've got a prat like me building stuff like this. Yeah, so I've just used that, and it's been pretty good so far. I don't know if I spoke to you before on the last video, possibly not. I was thinking about putting the ASME motor here for the waist, and that way, again, simplicity and motor. I know inputting recommend doing it their own way, but again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I might put it on and be happy with it, and it runs forever. I mean, I'll always make sure it's safe. and function the same. And the way I looked at it as well is, if worse comes to worse and it fails, what's it going to do? It's just a servo, so the chance are it'll just fail, as in strip teeth or whatever, internally, and then I just pin it and lock it off and then go with the original, which costs so much more. But you know, we'll do our things our own way. And since as well, ironically, when looking for another servo motors and various other bits and bobs, I actually found an exact Chinese copy of the Anaheim motor, exactly to the spec, and for some reason it was a little bit more powerful, so I'll probably just go for that one. A bit cheaper, I suppose, as well. But again, Chinese, I have plenty of things from our Chinese friends, and it's not always great, but you know how it is. So I think that's about it, to be honest. Hope you enjoy the video. Sorry I've wrapped it on for quite a while. I try to not do that, at least make it cover as much as I can in such a short amount of time. 21 minutes, and I've gone through loads of things. Anyway, please let me know what you'd like on our next video. I'll probably put a poll on. Any questions or anything, please let me know. Anyway, take care. See you later.